Hello everyone and welcome back to Sketch by Sketch. Today I have a really fun video. I'm going to be using my jelly gouache I got for Christmas for the very first time. I've never been able to use this stuff, so let's get right into this. I'm really excited. It comes in this really cool carrying case, and here, as you can see, it comes with a chart of the colors. Don't really know why there's two, but there are. And then of course all of the paint pans come in these little sealed pots. So I understand why it did that. They did that so that they would not dry out. But this was a tedious process. You guys have no idea. It probably took me a half hour to get all of these unwrapped. And if you're wondering why I'm doing them out of order, they were really hard to kind of pull out of the container, so I just kind of pulled them out as they came. So sorry if that bothers you that I opened them all in different orders, but I did keep them in the same section that they were in originally so that the color chart would match up. And the color chart was pretty accurate when I got them all opened. Alright, so if you're wondering about the painting that I'm going to be doing, I drew a picture of Cinderella. I just used a plain mechanical pencil and tried to draw really lightly. And I'm using this new paper I got for Christmas as well, and new brushes. My painting supplies was really not great, so I got some painting supplies for Christmas, and this paper is just like a multi-purpose painting surface, so it's really thick paper, so you can use things like watercolor, acrylic, gouache, of course, anything like that. So it's really cool paper. It's 11 by 14 size if you're interested. I have a video on what I got for Christmas if you want to see any more specifics about this stuff. Alright, I really don't know how to use this stuff, so I'm just going to go at it like I do any kind of other paint. I mean, this stuff really isn't that much different. It's just already out. It's not in a tube, so you don't have to really get it out, which is nice. And I do think that the texture is a little different. It goes on the page a little more smooth. I did mix it with some water so that I could still see my pencil lines, at least for the first few layers, so I could at least build up the shadows and things like that. So to start out, I'm just giving it a nice even base tone here for the skin. And when I mix my skin tones, if you're wondering, I usually add a little bit of pink and a little bit of blue into like a peach tone, and that makes it look a little bit more realistic. The colors in this drawing I think turned out really pretty. I could have added a little bit more saturation, I think, in the end of it, but overall I think this painting turns out really cute in the end. Keep in mind that you don't have to use strictly like a skin tone. You can add in little bits of purple or blue, like I already said, into the skin. It just adds a lot of variety and makes it look a little bit more interesting to look at. So I mean, that's just something you could do. If you would like to see a tutorial on how I do paintings like this, I could definitely do that. I've done several painting processes on my channel, but I've never done an actual tutorial just because the process takes so long, and I've never really sat down and had time to actually film a tutorial on painting. But if that was something that you guys would be interested in seeing in the new year, then I could definitely start working on it. That's definitely more of a project, but I would be really interested in trying that out. I have a few paintings actually planned for the near future, so one of those could be a tutorial, just some fan art and different ideas that I've had. I've really been enjoying painting lately, even though I'm not great at it, and I really don't know the proper techniques, I guess, of using the paint. I have a lot of fun doing it, and I just have some things that I've been wanting to try out lately. So I'm definitely going to be doing some more painting videos coming up this year. You can see in the skin tone that I'm drawing here how clean these paints look. The face I blended a little bit more just to add kind of those darker shadows, but on the rest of the body you can see how clean you can get this paint and how crisp it looks on the page. I just really love this stuff. I think it looks really cool. I'm actually displaying this piece in my room right now because I just think it looks really nice. I just really love the way these paints look on the page, and I definitely recommend getting some. I typically, when I do a painting like this, use normal gouache, like an artesa gouache. That comes in tubes, and that is something that is a little bit of a pain to have to get out exactly what colors you want, and then once you get them out of the tube, sometimes you mix the wrong amount of color, or the color on the paint looks different, and then you get it out and you're wasting paint. So anyways, I think that this setup is a lot better. So if you're interested in getting any kind of paint to start doing things like this, I would recommend getting this. I haven't had it for a while, so I can't speak of it drying out and getting dirty and things like that. I have seen people have to kind of clean them and mix up the paint. I've been every few days spraying them with water. Maybe that's something I shouldn't be doing, but I saw it somewhere that you can do that, just like every couple days, just put a little spritz of water on them. And that's kept them looking brand new so far. They haven't dried out, but they're also not too wet. You don't want to completely saturate these paints, and I really recommend using a paint palette instead of putting water directly into the actual cup of paint. So definitely just get the paint out that you want and then mix it with water in a separate container like I'm doing here. These colors are really saturated, so I'm blending most of them with a little bit of white just to create more of a pastel look. But I actually really like that about these paints, that you can get different sort of vibes from the drawing. Like if you add the more white paint like I did here to make it look softer, or if you just use them straight out of the pot and they are really bright and pretty. So definitely looking forward to do some different things with this paint and try out some different techniques. I really love the color I mixed for this dress. I actually got the idea for this drawing on Pinterest. I saw it was like a digital drawing, I think, and the dress had a little bit more of a, I guess you could say, lavender hue, which it kind of did in the cartoon. But I really loved that look of that painting, so I tried to mix in a little bit of lavender into the blue, which is something that I normally wouldn't do, just because I wouldn't think to do it, to mix lavender into the blue, but I think it looks really pretty, and I just love how all these colors go together. I probably could have added a little bit more purple, but I still think it looks great and I love it. And I also like how light everything is, and then I kept the black choker just completely plain, just stark black. So I think that that looks really nice and adds just a little bit of a pop to break up all of the carefully blended in light colors. And here you can see a little bit more of that lavender tone like I was talking about. It looks really pretty and almost makes the sleeves look like they're translucent or a really light fabric, and they're just kind of shiny. I think that's just so beautiful. I really love that. Definitely let me know in the comments if there's another character that you would like to see me do a painting like this. I thought about starting a series of doing like Disney princesses just to go along with this one, just because I think it turned out just so magical and pretty. So I could definitely do more Disney princesses. Let me know which ones are your favorite, or I could do really anything else. So I would just really love to see your requests. I've definitely been wanting to do some fan art from the new Spider-Man movie. I'm going to do a video on that one way or the other. I don't know exactly what kind, but that movie was super awesome, and I'm definitely wanting to do some art from that. So let me know if there are any specific characters from that movie that you would like to see me draw. Alright, here I'm just using plain white paint and going over some of the dress just to add those really bright highlights, just to make it look almost like it's glowing or like it has a shimmer to it. So I'm just going to be putting this in the places where I think there would be light shining, or at least more of like a glow. Definitely when you're painting, I think that highlights and shadows are a little bit more important than when you're doing something like pencils or markers. For some reason it just looks like it matters a little bit more in the finished piece. So definitely before you start doing any kind of coloring, determine where your light source is coming from. In this case it's kind of above and to the left side of the page. So once you know that, you know where shadows and highlights are going to be. The back part of this character is going to be a little darker than the front. As you can see, the face, I highlighted the left side, and then the right side over by the hair is much darker. So that is just kind of my rule of thumb. Definitely determine the light source and where everything is going to be before you start painting. Alright, and just to add more of a clean highlight and shadow, really kind of like more unblended, I'm using a darker purple color right up against the white. I love the difference there that creates. It's just so clean. I know I keep saying that, but these paints really just kind of layer on top of each other so well, and I just really love the way that this is turning out. I think that with these paints you're really able to get a nice texture on the clothing. I really think that this dress just kind of looks like the fabric that it would be, and I think you can really capture all that with these paints, so I really love that about them. Alright, now I'm mixing up some golden yellow color for the hair. I'm adding just a little bit of this like terracotta red color in it too, and a little bit of just plain yellow, just to give it that right color for the Disney princess blonde color. It kind of all looks the same for all of them, so this color just is going to be more bright blonde than I would draw if I was doing a more realistic blonde hair color, if that makes sense. And I'm just going to fill in the hair in the first layer, and then I can start adding my shadows and highlights. So just give it a nice base tone with a mid-tone color, and you should be good. Alright, now I'm mixing in more of that terracotta color like you saw, and it does look fairly dark and red for the hair color, but trust me, in the end it'll look really good. So sometimes you just have to kind of go for it and add in those darker shadows, and sometimes it just really makes your drawing pop, and it looks better than just using colors that are really similar. That makes the drawing look pretty flat and not really that interesting. So just make sure that when you're doing drawings like this that you really try to use a wide variety of tones of a color. I'm just kind of trying to blend that a little bit into the golden color just to kind of make it look wispy and like real hair. And just for reference, this painting in real time took about an hour to an hour and a half, so it's not like I was spending 3 days on this or anything like that. I did one painting where it took about 4 days, but this one was just simple, about an hour and a half, so that's really not that long for a painting. Like, this was really quick, so just keep that in mind. You can definitely take a lot more time and really blend things and make them look more realistic and a little bit more visually appealing. I was just trying to go for a little bit more of a simple look just to try these out. Again, this is the first time I've used these paints, so I was just kind of trying to do something simple to start out with. But of course, you can go way more in detail here, let layers dry, layer over top, things like that. I've only done one painting like that, but it was really fun, and the finished result, you can really tell that I spent more time on it. So definitely that is an option if you're wanting to get more detail in your piece. And then of course I'm adding those bright highlights again. I really want to make this drawing pop, so adding in the bright highlights. Alright, now I'm just going to wait for this to dry before I add the background. It's dry now. And I've just mixed up I actually used acrylic for this just because I didn't want to use a lot of my new paint on just a background, and I just have a bunch of cheap acrylics sitting around. So I just used some black and navy blue, mixed it together to create kind of like a night sky look. And I'm going to go through and completely fill in the background, and I will be back when I'm finished with that. It's a little bit boring and this video is long anyway, so I'll go ahead and skip me finishing that up. But like I said, I'm just filling in the background. I'm not doing anything else with the character. Alright, I am done with the background. I have to say I forgot to record this next little bit, but you're going to go ahead and just see the finished piece. I just went in and added some little sparkles with some white paint, and then used some white and blue to create that faded look. Hope you guys really enjoyed. I had a fun time creating this piece. I really love the way it turned out. Let me know what you want to see next, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys!